everybody, and welcome back to Break the Tackle. I am Austin the Peffer, and we are here for the Wildcard predictions. Everybody, we've made the playoffs! Last week, I went 9-7 for the final week of the regular season, putting my final record at 164 wins and 108 losses. I will live with that number. I think it could have been better, but hey, you know what? It was success. I'm happy with how I did, and I'm looking forward to next season. But before that, we got playoffs to talk about, and the playoffs are looking real interesting. So let's recap the seedings. In the AFC, the Ravens are the 1 seed. The 2 seed are the Buffalo Bills. The 3 seed are the Kansas City Chiefs. And the 4 seed are the Houston Texans. With the wild cards, Browns at the 5 seed. We have the Dolphins at the 6 seed. And the Steelers at the 7 seed. Meanwhile, in the NFC, the 49ers take the number 1 seed, while the Dallas Cowboys take number 2. Number 3 goes to the Detroit Lions. I had to remind myself in the middle of saying that. And the 4th seed, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, with the wild cards being the 5-seeded Eagles, the 6-seeded Rams, and the 7-seeded Packers. All right, let's start with the first game of Wild Card Weekend, the first of 2 Saturday games. The 5-seeded Cleveland Browns going to Houston to take on the 4-seeded Texans. Browns, it's been a very impressive season for the Browns amidst all these injuries, having 5 different starting quarterbacks, 4 if you don't count Week 18. It's a very impressive season for the Browns and everything they've overcome. Kevin Stefanski is easily a top 3 candidate for Coach of the Year, in my opinion. Joe Flacco's story is arguably one of the best stories in the league right now. Myles Garrett, while he wouldn't be my pick for Defensive Player of the Year. I know a lot of people have their agendas. He's been having a great year regardless. This Browns team's impressive. And then you got the Texans, one of the big surprises of the year. C.J. Stroud is killing it. Between him and Puka Nacua, easily Offensive Rookie of the Year. Those two have been killing it. But yes, C.J. Stroud has been very impressive. It seems like Houston has their guy. This is the Deshaun Watson Bowl, I guess you could say, without Deshaun Watson playing. Kind of interesting there. But yeah, this Texans got their guy, it seems like. They have a nice young roster. It's a very young roster, and, you thought, okay, they might be good, but they're probably not going to make the playoffs. They have some growing pains, but hey, they did it. They freaking did it. Got to tip the cap to D'Amico Ryans, their new head coach. In my opinion, I would probably choose him as Coach of the Year. He's done a fantastic job with that young group, and I know that O-line's been beaten up. Like, they had a bunch of third stringers at one point on that O-line. Like, it's very impressive how far Houston's come this season. But now we get into the matchup of the Browns and the Texans. Not gonna lie, I really feel like the Texans could pull the upset, but it's just such a young team. There's a good chance they might just be happy to be there. And for that reason, I think I gotta go with the Red Hot Browns. Yeah, I'm going to go with Cleveland for the sake of their experience. Not to mention, playoff Joe Flacco is a different beast. His record in the playoffs is pretty impressive last I checked. So, give me the Browns over the Texans. The second Saturday night game, the 6-seeded Miami Dolphins at the 3-seeded Kansas City Chiefs. And it's going to be a cold one. It's supposed to be 0 degrees. Wind chills could be all the way down to like -30. Oh my God, protect your extremities if you are at this game or playing in this game, and protect yourself because cold is no joke. I think Kansas City's going to win this game. Kansas City's had a down year this year, and but their defense has been pretty strong. It's been carrying them for the most part. Mahomes, he just does not have the weapons. Travis Kelce is starting to take a step back, I feel like, slowly but surely. But this Dolphins team, man, they just can't win those big games, and I do not trust Tua in this spot. Now, maybe, you know what, they have a sneaky good run game. If they can get the run game going, I think they have a shot, but this Dolphins team's very battered. Like, I don't trust it. Give me the Kansas City Chiefs to take this one in Arrowhead. First of the Sunday games, and the last AFC game in the wild card round is the 7-seeded Pittsburgh Steelers at the 2-seeded Buffalo Bills. The Bills! They started the season 6-6, finished 11-6, 5 straight wins, and sneaking from behind to take the division. What was looking like they were going to miss the playoffs and have a down year, boom, they are the 2 seed in the AFC, just like that. I mean, the Bills have been red hot. They've been running the ball more, running the ball with success, something they've really lacked over the last few years. And I got to tip the cap to that group, and I think it was after they fired their offensive coordinators when they really got to turn things around. And then you got the 7-seeded Steelers, and what a roller coaster. 3 weeks ago, if you don't know, I'm a Steelers fan. 3 weeks ago, I said, that's it. We're done. Forget about it. And next thing you know, win our last 3. Mason Rudolph, he saved Christmas, he saved New Year's, and he saved the season from being a complete disaster. Very strong finish by the Steelers. It seems like they finally found that rhythm on offense they've been lacking. We'll see if it lasts in the playoffs, but I'd say it's impressive, although disappointing that they were in the position they were to begin with, but is what it is. Very interesting to see what the future holds for the Steelers. But as for this game, everything says that the Bills should absolutely win. I mean, better quarterback. I mean, Mason's been playing really well since he's come in, but I mean, not going to argue he's better than Josh Allen. That's just silly. But yeah, Josh Allen is a freak of nature, and the Bills' defense has been really good this year. They got home field advantage, and the weather's looking ugly. I know Buffalo loves that weather, and granted, Pittsburgh kind of does too, and with the big emotions, like usually after Pittsburgh has big emotional wins, they kind of take a step back. And I forgot to mention one more thing. The Steelers are without TJ Watt. Yeah, that's pretty rough. Everything's telling me that the Bills should win this game. But I've actually got the Steelers in an upset. And there's a few different reasons. I mean, they've been running the ball really well. I think this weather, they might actually make this game a little closer than people think. And one more reason why I'm taking the Steelers. And it's because I am an idiot. So yes, maybe I'm picking with my heart here. It's so be it. I'm going to have a little fun. I'm taking my Steelers to upset the Buffalo Bills. Next, we have another 7-seed versus 2-seed. This time in the NFC, the Green Bay Packers taking on the Dallas Cowboys. The Packers, man, this was supposed to be a rebuilding year, and boom, they're in the playoffs. How about that? Jordan Love takes off. I know I mentioned that Kevin Stefanski was a Coach of the Year option for me, and my pick would be DeMeco Ryan to the Texans, but I'd say the other top 3 guy for me would be Matt LaFleur. I mean, to take this young squad to a playoff spot, I think is pretty impressive. Yeah, it's a 7-seed. Yeah, they only finished 9-8, but hey, you know what? They exceeded a lot of expectations, and you gotta tip the cap to the Green Bay Packers. As for the Dallas Cowboys, there's times where I felt, maybe this team isn't that great, but then they play really well, and it's like, you know what? Maybe they are. I'm still all over the place with the Cowboys, to be completely honest. I feel like they're not in that top tier, but they're that tier below. They're Super Bowl contenders, but they're not Super Bowl favorites, if that makes sense. That's kind of how I view the Cowboys, and they've been phenomenal at home, and them getting the 2-seed definitely helps, but I can't say I have that much confidence. Cowboys tend to choke in these big playoff spots, and especially against the Packers, but this Packers team is just so young, very inexperienced. I think the Cowboys are going to have their way with them. It might not necessarily saying it's going to be an ugly game, but I just trust the Cowboys more in this spot, which is really weird to say, but I think the Dallas Cowboys take this game over the Packers. Next, we have the Sunday night game of the playoffs, and although it might not be my game I have the most eyes on. This is my game of the week. The 6-seeded LA Rams at the 3-seeded Detroit Lions. Matthew Stafford returns to Detroit. Wow, there's a lot here going on. Detroit's first home playoff game in like 30 years. The Lions, they've been the favorites for the NFC North all offseason, it seemed like. But you know what? There was some doubts because, a lot of expectations for the Lions. They're not used to the expectations. They started slowing down a bit towards the end of the season, but they got the division win. Really good times in Detroit, but they are a bit banged up. The defense is a little suspect. You have some worries, Are they going to be used to the success? Like, how are they going to do once they have the success? And a lot of times, teams like the Lions, they tend to crumble early. But as for the Rams, they're pretty top-heavy if we're being honest. But hey, they had an ugly season last season. They got a lot of their guys back. They got Puka Nacua in the draft, and he has been killing it. He even set a record for, rookie receiving yards, he broke the record for. Phenomenal job by the Rams this year. They are a bit top-heavy, but when you got Sean McVay as your coach, you can coach mostly anybody. As for this game, thing is, McVay knows Goff very well, and he knows his weaknesses, and Goff has weaknesses for sure. And while I like Jared Goff, I can also acknowledge that, he's not in that top tier of quarterbacks. Like, he's going to make a lot more mistakes if, pressure's on him. And I think McVay is going to take advantage of that. And, yeah, I just think the experience is going to come in favor of the Rams here. So I'm going to go with the LA Rams to pull the upset over the Detroit Lions. And finally, in the wild card round, we have the 5-seeded Eagles at the 4-seeded Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This being a Monday Night Football game. How the mighty have fallen. Holy crap. The Eagles look like one of the best teams in the league this year. And then after that 10-1 start, this team just gave up. I don't know if Sirianni's job is safe right now. Like, it seems like this entire team just gave up on the coaching staff and just given up on playing. You got guys deleting their social media and taking off all Eagles stuff related. Like, it's looking pretty ugly in Philly right now, and I don't know how to go about it. Now, they're still a super talented team, but, and Jalen Hurts is banged up. A.J. Brown's banged up. I don't know what to think about this Eagles team right now. I really don't. But they get the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who won the worst division in football. And, it's not like Tampa Bay was super convincing, but, you know what? I got to give them props, though, because I thought that they'd be first to worst. And you got to give the Bucs credit there. They were doubted. They felt like an afterthought, and they showed up, proved us wrong. Baker Mayfield's had a hell of a season, might have earned himself some more money. We'll see how he does in the playoffs, and I know he's really banged up too, so this is one of the hardest games to pick. But you know what? I feel like most of the time, when there's like a division winner, it's like, well, you only made the playoffs because you won your crappy division. A lot of times they get the upset win. I can't explain it. Like, from those Tebow Broncos to, like, I've seen like 8-8 Chargers teams get playoff wins. Like, there's just those weird. We've seen cases where those weird, like, playoff 4-seed division winners from a weak division just pull a win out of their asses. And I feel like that's what the Buccaneers are going to do. While I feel like Philly is the better team, I just got a feeling these Buccaneers are going to show up and want it more than they do. So I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get the upset, not seeding-wise, but just betting-wise, over the Philadelphia Eagles. So let's recap the picks real quick.
I have Browns over Texans, Chiefs over Dolphins, Steelers over Bills, Cowboys over Packers, Rams over Lions, and Buccaneers over Eagles.
Now, this is where the video usually ends, but hey, I got bonus material for you. I'm going to go through the whole bracket. So, with my picks, the divisional round would look like this. The 7-seeded Steelers at the 1-seeded Ravens, the 5-seeded Browns at the 3-seeded Chiefs, the 6-seeded Rams at the 1-seeded 49ers, and the 4-seeded Buccaneers at the 2-seeded Cowboys. I would have, see, as much as I hate to do it, I'd have to have the Ravens over the Steelers. Taking the Steelers over the Bills is a big risk as is. I don't think I can go any further with the Steelers there. Ravens have been red hot. Even though the Steelers swept them, I think the Ravens have more to prove in that spot. In a weird way, they kind of do. I'm going to take the Browns over the Chiefs. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually trust the Browns more, which is not a statement I thought I'd make if you asked me beginning of the year. Rams and the Niners, I'm going with the Rams. I'm sorry, no. I'm going with the Niners. I just don't see the Rams pulling it out there. And the 4-seeded Buccaneers at the 2-seeded Cowboys. Give me the Cowboys. Can't believe I'm picking the Cowboys to win a divisional round game, but if they're playing the Bucks, I mean, that's just, yeah, it fell right into their lap. So, my AFC champion are the 5-seeded Browns at the 1-seeded Ravens. I am taking the Ravens there to make it to the Super Bowl. And the 2-seeded Cowboys at the 1-seeded 49ers in the NFC Championship. Give me the 49ers. I just have a hard time seeing any team but the Niners at this point. And then my Super Bowl matchup, yeah, it's the boring 1-seed. The Ravens and the Niners. Who wins? I think much like their game from earlier this year, the Ravens will get the win. I think it'll be closer this time around. The Niners will be a little more prepared for Lamar this time. I think the Ravens will just get the win. It feels written in the stars right now. It feels like their year. It really feels like it's now or never for the Ravens. I mean, and maybe that's not necessarily the case, but it kind of feels that way. It just feels like it's their destiny to win the Super Bowl this year. So I got the Ravens over the 49ers in the Super Bowl. And that is the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and be sure to give the thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Leave some comments down below. What are your thoughts? Share your predictions of the playoffs. Also, hit subscribe for more content from Break the Tackle on YouTube, and hit that bell so you know whenever we upload videos and shorts. We also got a Facebook page. Give it a like and follow as well. We have an Instagram page at break.the.tackle. Give that a follow too. Thank you all one more time for watching Break the Tackle. We love football. We talk football.